A lot of people have been commenting on my videos and asking if they are actually at risk of being deported. So in this video, we're going to be talking about a couple different groups of immigrants and whether or not they should actually be afraid going into a Trump administration. So the first group of people are asylum seekers, and this breaks down into two different classifications. People who are in deportation proceedings, so they have an active immigration court case with a court date coming up, and those people who have no court date and they filed an affirmative asylum application. So this could be people who entered on tourist visas or who entered and were never apprehended by immigration and then subsequently within the first year submitted an asylum application. So if you're actually in immigration court, then getting denied asylum during a Trump administration will possibly and probably result in you receiving a deportation order, which makes you low-hanging fruit and easy for immigration to go after for actual deportation from the United States. Something a lot of people don't know is that receiving a deportation order is not the same thing as physically being deported. It's just a piece of paper, a civil judgment basically, that says you are subject to removal from the United States, and then it's up to Immigration and Customs Enforcement to actually follow up on that and remove you from the United States. The other group of people are people who have an affirmative asylum application pending. I don't actually know what's going to happen with these. Some people have had these applications pending for 6, 8, even 10 years, and they're just in a backlog waiting for their application to get decided. A lot of these people have integrated into life in the United States. They have good jobs, they have employment authorization, they have social security cards, they have US citizen family members. If their application gets denied during Trump's administration, they could end up in removal proceedings and end up in the same situation as the first group of people who get ordered removed. But what I suspect will happen, and this is just based on what happened last time Trump was president, is Trump will implement a plan saying anyone who applies for affirmative asylum is going to get heard within 6 months. Their case will get heard really quickly, and their deportation will be swift if their case is denied. And the reason for this policy generally is because it discourages people from applying for asylum, because a lot of people take advantage of the system knowing they'll be here pending for like 10 years and they'll get employment authorization. So to discourage people from applying just to get employment authorization, they do this like first in, first out policy. But what that does to all the people who have an application pending is it puts them even further behind in the pending backlog. So if you already have a case pending, there's a good chance that 4 years from now, when Trump is out of office or on his way out, hopefully, that your case might still be pending, but I don't actually know what's gonna happen with those. The next group of people who are freaking out and asking me a lot of questions are people who actually have green cards, whether it's a conditional residence or a full 10-year permanent resident card. It doesn't really matter. I generally think that these people are safe, but there are caveats. If you're convicted of a crime, you might not be safe. If you're a conditional resident and you fail to properly have your conditions removed, you might not be safe. If you obtained your residence through fraud or misrepresentation, you're not safe. But everyone who properly received their permanent resident card will have the right to live, work, and travel in and out of the United States with some limitations on travel. Just an FYI, you do have a right to re-enter the US with a green card. The last time Trump was president, he tried to implement a Muslim country ban within his first week or two in office through executive order. And although some permanent residents were temporarily denied entry for a few days, a court order pretty swiftly came down and said, no, you can't do that. That's illegal. Permanent residents have almost an absolute right to re-enter the United States as long as they're still eligible for permanent residence and didn't abandon their residence and are not inadmissible due to crimes and a bunch of other caveats. But generally speaking, and talk with a lawyer before you make a decision, but if you follow all the rules and your travel was reasonable for a reasonable amount of time and you have no criminal convictions, you probably have a right to re-enter the US if you're a permanent resident. The last group of people I want to talk about are citizens. Now, citizens are generally safe. Once you're a citizen, you have nothing to worry about in terms of immigration, but there's a caveat. If you obtained your immigration status or your citizenship through fraud, you can be denaturalized in the future, and that citizenship can be taken away from you. Immigration isn't gonna just detain you and put you in a detention facility if you're a US citizen. They can't do that. But you can receive a notice to say that denaturalization proceedings are initiating, and then you have to defend yourself. And if you end up being denaturalized, now you're no longer a US citizen and bad things can happen to you. Another caveat, denaturalization is incredibly rare, very rare. Like, I've never actually seen it happen to any of my clients, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So don't freak out about denaturalization if you're a US citizen. You'll have ample notice if the government is trying to strip you of your US citizenship. You'll have an opportunity to respond, to appear in court. You're not just gonna get rounded up and deported from the United States. All right, guys, I just wanted to make a short video on several groups of immigrants who are panicking right now and who've asked a lot of questions in the comment section of my videos. You know, there are other immigrants, those with TPS, those are here completely unlawfully, those who overstayed their visas, and all of these people are fair game to initiate removal proceedings. One thing I want to note is that if you've been in the US for more than 2 years, you generally have a right to see an immigration judge and have your case decided before you receive a removal order and can get deported from the United States. There are exceptions to this rule, but generally speaking, that's what happens. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the comments below. I'll try my best to answer some of them for the first few days after a video comes out. If you're interested in learning more about family-based immigration, or if you need an immigration lawyer, or you want to consult with somebody about your case to get a second opinion or whatever, feel free to reach out, schedule a consultation directly with me. My information is in the video description below. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. I try to put out at least 5 videos a week, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another one.